A day late, but it has arrived. Welcome to this week's WARNO Dev Blog. This week it's all about the official launch out of early access, which is coming on May 23rd, just 3 weeks from now. So the big news today is first the intro movie to the game, which I will let play out shortly, and then we will be going through the different editions of WARNO, which will be available at launch, including the upcoming DLC and indeed expansions. First up, let's let the intro play out. I'll put a timestamp in so you can skip ahead if you don't want to watch it.
The date is 1989. The Cold War is ending and the world looks ahead to a brighter future. But history could have easily gone a very different way. Back in 1985, Mikhail Gorbachev became the new General Secretary of the Communist Party of the Soviet Union. But his attempts at reforming the ailing USSR brought him on a collision course with the most orthodox, Stalinist wing of the party. What if history had taken another patch then? What if Gorbachev and his reformist allies were removed from power in a ruthless palace coup in April 1987? Replacing them by a troika representing the party, the KGB, and the army. The old guard brought the Soviet Union back to heel, and any trace of political overture quickly forgotten. Unrest in the Baltic states and Armenia was crushed without remorse. Even neutral Finland, though not a Soviet state, was brought back in line, in a covert move reminiscent of President Dubček's forced resignation after the Prague Spring of 1968. The so-called Helsinki coup of 1987 was the trigger of a further worsening and renewed tension between the West and East. An outraged U.S. President Ronald Reagan initiates a second phase of the so-called New Cold War he devised in the early 80s. An even more aggressive posturing in Western Europe is instigated, which includes the funding of counterinsurgencies and defense armament deals with old and new allies alike. Western economic sanctions and rising military expenditures forced the Soviet Union into ever worse trade deals, inflating its already crippling debts as well as food shortages throughout its zone of influence. When a larger-than-ever version of NATO's Reforger exercise was announced for September 1989, the Troika paranoidly believed it to be an elaborate smokescreen for a land conflict in Western Europe. The Soviet Union sees no other recourse but war. Under cover of its own massive exercise in East Germany announced for the end of June, Zapad 89, the Warsaw Pact mobilizes its forces. While standing troops are brought to full combat readiness, reserves are only moderately recalled to avoid NATO detection. Suddenly, June 20th sees the withdrawal of most East German Grenztruppen. Achieving strategic surprise, Soviet troops break through Germany's inner border. A warning order is issued.
And there was the intro. I hope you enjoyed it. I quite like the intro. At least it sets out the timeline and exactly how things changed and what happened quite clearly, so people coming into the game know what's going on. So let's move on to the different flavors of WARNO, the different variations that you're going to be able to purchase, and what standing having the early access version has, of course. Because as an early access adopter, you will already have access to some additional content that other players will have to purchase via the EA pack or early access pack. Okay, so that said, let's assume you're now coming to buy WARNO on release day. Well, you will have the option of the WARNO Vanilla Edition, which will be priced at $39.99 US or €39.99 euros. They haven't put the pounds here. This is typical of the French. I am extremely offended, Eugen. So what do you actually get in this vanilla version of the game? Well, you get the 5 Army General campaigns, you get 8 operations, 18 divisions, over 1,000 units expertly researched, modeled and voice-lined, 6 nations, the United States, West Germany, United Kingdom, and France for NATO, and the Soviet Union and East Germany for the Warsaw Pact. It also includes the extensive tutorials and a full range of skirmish, multiplayer and cooperative modes. Then you will have the option of picking up the Early Access Pack. So Early Access owners who've bought it during Early Access will already have access to this content. For everybody who buys WARNO after the release day, they will need to buy this additionally. The Early Access Pack contains 5 extra divisions: the Berlin divisions, NATO's Berlin Command, and Warsaw Pact's Berliner Gruppierung, and the 6th Guards Motor Rifle Division, plus the US 24th Infantry Division Mechanized and the Warsaw Pact's Soviet 27th Guards Motor Rifle Division. Those who do not buy the early access version will have to pay $9.99 or €9.99 for this pack. Of course, it doesn't end there. There is another edition of the game, the WARNO Gold Edition. The Super Deluxe Gold Edition, they say, is jam-packed with extra goodies and pre-orders of not only the 2 future major expansions, but also 2 extra previously undisclosed DLCs, which will be detailed further in the video. So the Gold Edition, with a price tag of $79.99 or €79.99, includes everything in the Vanilla Edition, plus 2 ebooks with almost 200 pages in total of WARNO's timeline and designer's notes respectively on Army General operations, plus an in-depth division overview. WARNO's timeline goes deep into how it came to pass, painting a frighteningly realistic picture of World War III erupting at the end stages of the Cold War. The Army General section gives you not only detailed insights about our 5 campaigns, but also how we set out to create them, a great sneak peek at WARNO's development. Operations give you an in-depth view of how we designed operations, the scripted scenarios on the specific noteworthy battles in our war scenario, and how they are best played. The divisions includes an exhaustive list of all WARNO Vanilla and Gold divisions, including historical tidbits, arsenal and unit descriptions, advantages and disadvantages, and how to deploy each battle group's armed forces. The Gold Edition also includes the pre-order of the future Northag expansion, which will include 2 new Army General campaigns, 4 operations, 10 new divisions including new nations such as NATO's Belgium, the Netherlands and the Warsaw Pact's Poland. This DLC will be priced at $24.99 or €24.99 when it is released if you did not buy the Gold Edition. The Gold Edition will also include a pre-order of the Southag expansion, bringing in 2 new Army General campaigns, 4 operations, 10 new divisions including nations such as NATO's Canada and Spain, and the Warsaw Pact's Czechoslovakia. This DLC will likewise be priced at $24.99 or €24.99 on release if you buy it separately. They go on to say, and as a complete surprise, there will be 2 new, previously undisclosed Nemesis DLCs, which will be included with the Gold Edition, or you can buy them separately. So this will be a mini DLC, which is popular and introduced in Steel Division 2, they say. The idea behind the Nemesis DLC is that every once in a while we give the community the option of which set of divisions should be developed next. We typically present 3 different pairs, after which you will be able to vote on your preferred option. Like Steel Division 2, the first Nemesis DLC will be predetermined to be developed and ready quicker. The Nemesis Air Assault will feature 2 new Air Assault divisions, the iconic US 101st Airborne Division, and on the Soviet side, the Afghan veterans, the Soviet 56th Air Assault Brigade. The second Nemesis DLC will be the first DLC, which will be voted on by the community as described above, or previously in the video. Each of the Nemesis DLCs will be priced individually at $4.99 or €4.99. As you can see, the Gold Edition not only gives you the base game, but also the pre-order of 2 major expansions and 2 new Nemesis DLCs, plus ebooks with combined content worth about $110 or €110. Also, you'll be able to upgrade your copy of WARNO to the Gold Edition, and there will be a special discount only available before the official launch for early adopters. And they say that is everything for this week. There will be no dev blog next week, as Eugen are out of office on holiday. So my takeaways from this are very pleased we have a release date finally, and obviously pleased we've had confirmation on the upcoming expansion/DLCs, and also what the different versions will actually include, and what we have definitely been given as an extra for having the early access version. I am of course, however, deeply disappointed that they haven't included the pounds in the costing. and only included dollars and euros. I think this warrants a permanent 20% discount for the UK players, for the deep offense caused. But anyhow, thank you for joining me for this week's devblog as ever. Obviously, we'll be clearly having a break next week and coming back the week after, but hopefully this means we are running up to getting some permission to start showing off some content of the game on release, such as the other campaigns. Thanks for watching, I'll see you all soon.